Okay, today I'm going to tell you, or show you rather, how to replace the timing belt on a Suzuki Samurai. I've had this off several times, so I'm going to show you both ways. One if it breaks, another if you take it off. If you're taking it off, what you want to do is mark. You see there's a mark at the top of your cover right here, and then there's a mark down here on your block. You want to mark with a paint marker on the sprockets where it lines up, and you also want to mark on your bottom sprocket. That way when you take the belt off, when you put it back on, you line those up and you just put it back on. But a lot of times timing belts break, or you have to take things off and things get screwed up, so I'm going to go into how to do that also. So first I'm going to take this old timing belt off. I've had this off several times playing around with it. So I'm going to drop this off and then show you how to put it back on. The removal of the timing belt is pretty simple. There's a bolt right here on your tensioner pulley. Then you have to loosen. There's a stud right here that you have to loosen. Anytime when you're changing seals, you just loosen the two bolts up and just slide it off. If you're doing it without, if the belt hasn't broke when you're extracting it, you want to make sure that when you pull the belt off, you don't move it. Keep the pulleys in the right position. You can do this a lot. If you put it in gear, scotch the wheels, it'll take a bit to make those move, so that's a good thing. Anytime that you replace seals like your crankshaft seal and your camshaft seal, and you get your belts covered in oil, you want to go ahead and replace it. And also your tensioner pulley, they say if it has play in it to replace it, but you can get the kits offline, good kits offline, for pretty cheap, so you might want to go ahead and replace it anyways. It would suck, especially these aren't interference motors, meaning that if the timing belt breaks, it's not going to mess your head up, but it would suck getting it all apart, putting it back together, and then your tensioner pulley going out. Now this one looks like it's in good shape, but it also looks like it's a factory part. It's Japanese. So the new timing belt comes just like so. Another thing to mention, if you're going to be reusing your old timing belt, you need to make marks on arrows on which way it spins. That way you do not put it on backwards. Okay, when you're putting your tensioner pulley back on, the back side of it, you can see there's a little hole right there. That goes on that little nipple. The bolt goes through the front and also goes through your little tensioner right there. And then that's what goes down to the block. Make sure you have the stud right here released. The out part of the stud right here is what connects it to the outside of the timing belt cover. Okay, once you get the tensioner pulley on, you don't want to tighten it down yet. What you want to do is push the tensioner pulley all the way up. You have the spring on the side that holds the tension on it. You're going to push it all the way up and tighten. This is going to be hard with one hand, but you want to push it all the way up and tighten the bolt so the tensioner pulley is completely out of the way. See, that's completely tensioned. That's all the way out. Then you want to tighten it down. That way it's easier to get your belt on. Okay, let's say that your timing belt broke and you have no clue about getting it back in time. Now I'm going to show you how to adjust or to line your pulleys up. That way that you'll get it back in time. If you can see, there's a line on the pulley here, and there's your mark up here. On the 16 valve, I think there's like a little E indentation on the sprocket. And on the bottom, above your keyway, there's a little nipple that sticks out right here, and then there's one right here. Now on the bottom, you want to make sure you're on top dead center of the compression stroke. I recently did a video of how to find top dead center using a dog toy. I'll find that here in a second and show you real quick how to do that again. Okay, finding top dead center. I did a video about this. I'll go over it real quick again. This tool that I made out of a dog toy, when you blow through it, it makes a sound. It has a little squeaker. Take your spark plug out of your number 1 cylinder on this engine will be the one all the way forward. You place this in to make a good seal, and then you start turning your engine over. It's on the exhaust stroke right now, and then it just hit the compression stroke. So you turn it until the squeaker stops, and to get it completely in top dead center, what you can do is you can look inside where the piston is, and when you see it go all the way up to the top and settle, that's top dead center, and it should line up at the bottom. As you can see, we just have a little bit more to go before that lines up with that. So go ahead and get it lined up. You can put something down in your motor, straight screwdriver or Phillips head screwdriver, and watch it go up and down, and when it settles up at the top, that's when you are at top dead center compression stroke. Okay, for the top it's pretty simple. This is a single overhead cam, so you just turn your cam until that mark right there lines up with that. We need to go back just a little bit to get it lined up. So you want that mark in the front of your sprocket lined up with that indentation. And then your cam's lined up. At this point, you want to put the vehicle in gear. Okay, your timing belt should have arrows on it. If it doesn't, I always put the letters to where you can read it, not backwards. Okay, when you do this, you want to keep the slack on the side of the tensioner pulley. So I like to put the bottom on first, keep all the slack on the tension pulley side, but keep it tension put on the side away from the pulley. Make sure you get it in there all the way on the bottom. Newer belts are a little bit more difficult to get on because they've not stretched any at all. Okay, I got it around the tension pulley. Now, what you want to make sure is that you have not moved your marks. You want to make sure that your marks are still in line. You also want to make sure that your timing belt is not going to hit any part around where your sprockets are. Okay, now what you want to do is loosen your bolts where your tensioner pulley is. Let me find the wrench here. And that will put tension on your belt. If your spring is wore out, then it won't put a lot of tension on it, and you have to put tension on it yourself. Don't over tension the belt. I'm pretty sure this one's completely wore out. Yeah, the spring on this one's almost completely wore out. Okay, if your spring's not real well on your tensioner, on the long side of the belt, you want to have about a half an inch of play. And then you tighten tensioner belt down. To do this, you want to put it in gear. Mine's already in gear, so torque these down to about 21 pounds. Okay, that's torqued right. Then you want to tighten down the stud that's to the side of it. I think the torque specs on that, I'm not real sure. I don't want to say. I'm going to have to go out and check that. That's not nearly as important as the timing belt tensioner pulley. Tensioner pulley though. Don't over tighten it because it will snap off. Okay. That's how you install it. Now what you want to do is put your vehicle in neutral, and you want to make sure that it's in time. You should be at top dead center right now. So now you want to rotate the motor. Let's see here. I'm trying to think how many times you're supposed to rotate this. I think 720 degrees. So rotate it 2 times. On the bottom, and then you watch your bottom lobe. Okay, on the second time around on the compression stroke, you want to stop on once top dead center. Okay, it's rotated around twice. See how it lines up? And what you want to do is follow your number 1 spark plug wire up to right here. That's the number 1 plug wire. On the back, your rotor button, when you pop this cap off, the rotor button should be pointed right there. As you can see, we're 180 degrees off because I don't think we're on compression stroke. I don't think I went around twice. So to check that, what I will do is take a little toy that I built, and hopefully once it turns back to the bottom, it should start compressing. Okay, I wasn't on compression stroke. That was the problem. I didn't go around enough. Okay, went around on compression stroke. I was on exhaust stroke. Now, follow your number 1 plug wire, and your rotor button should be right at the number 1. As you can see, it is. So that means that in this case, the piston's at top dead center while it's firing. So that's how you install a timing belt on a Suzuki Samurai if it's broken or if you take it off. Check the tension, make sure it's not too tight. As always, thanks for watching.